Welcome into Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Today is the Steelers Talk mailbag, where I am answering your questions on the black and gold. Just a few days, just a couple weeks before the start of Steelers training camp in Latrobe. So before we get into the questions today, make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already to join the most interactive Steelers community anywhere on the YouTube platform. We got over 87,000 Yinzers that have already clicked that subscribe button for our daily, free, and informative Steelers content. But it's more than just our videos on this channel, guys. We got watch parties for every single Steelers game, which are a ton of fun. We also have live shows every Monday and Thursday where you guys get to hang out with fellow Steelers fans. We also do these mailbags where you guys can have a voice on our channel and get your takes and get your questions on these mailbags. So if you guys want to join the most interactive community of Yinzers anywhere on really planet Earth, I would say, you guys can click that subscribe button right now. Really do appreciate all of your guys' support. All right, we got one from my man Eugene. Says, what if TJ Watt doesn't get signed? What percentage of winning season? If he's not on the team, let's say they trade him for a second-round pick, all right, to some other team. It won't happen, but just hypothetically, if they trade him for a second-round pick, I think the chances go up quite significantly. I would say one of the main reasons why the Steelers have been able to maintain, competitive records with guys like Duck Hodges, Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, Mason Rudolph at quarterback is because TJ Watt and the defense pick up the offense. And, a lot of people give credit to Tomlin, but honestly, I would say TJ Watt has been more impactful on the team staying afloat throughout this kind of, during this kind of era than Mike Tomlin has. But, if he's not on the team, I think you're floating around 500, 8-9, 9-8, somewhere in there. And maybe you make the playoffs, but you probably don't. And the season's lost, essentially, is the answer to that question, Eugene. You got to have them on the team. I think they remain somewhat competitive, but they're going to be so mid. I think the defense is going to take a big step back, and I don't think the offense is going to be good enough to offset that step back on defense. Then we go on from Kyle Cogashale. Hope I'm saying that right, Kyle. Says, do you think we sign a wide receiver before the season, and why do you think, or who do you think it could be? If they do, I think it's going to be Gabe Davis. They brought him in for a visit. Gabe apparently really liked his time here in Pittsburgh. And I think that, he's somebody that I'm not the biggest fan of. He drops a lot of passes. He's not a great route runner. I think that he really benefited from playing with Josh Allen in Buffalo for some of his bigger games. But he is young, 26 years old. He's a really good run blocker that fits with what Arthur Smith wants to do. He is a vertical threat. So, if they added him, I wouldn't necessarily hate it, but especially for the right price tag, which I think it would be coming off that knee injury. But I honestly don't think that it's a foregone conclusion the Steelers will add another receiver. I think they like the addition of Jonnu Smith. They're going to be in 12 personnel a lot. And then another thing to keep in mind is that they really like Calvin Austin III and Roman Wilson. They drafted Roman in the third round last year. They like him. Apparently he's had a really good offseason. Then Calvin had a really underrated season last year. Made some big-time catches for this team. He can win to every level of the field. He's really good after the catch. He's got better hands than people give him credit for. I think that Calvin's going to have a good year this year as this team's number 2 receiver. I think the Steelers believe that as well, and I think that they'll probably go into the season with Calvin as their number 2 receiver. Then we got on from Cougar. It says, Jack, who are your make-or-break players for this season? Well, it's a good question there, Cougar. Definitely Broderick Jones. He's got to show up because he's had 2 years at right tackle. It was a disaster. Now he's back over to the left side. If he's not better this year on the left side, it's sayonara. They might be taking another tackle in round 1 next year or round 2. We'll see what happens with the quarterback situation here. But offensive tackle definitely needs to be solidified this year for Broderick. I would say Mason McCormick needs to have a good year too because he was a 4th-round selection. So if he has another bad year, they could certainly move off of him at right guard. They don't really owe him a whole bunch there. I think Darnell Washington needs to step up a little bit more as well. I think Roman Wilson is going to be a big-time make-or-break player for this team. His last year's, lack of production and lack of playing time, an aberration, or was that, who he is? We'll find that out. Juan Thornhill, make or break for his status as a starter in this league. I'm looking at who else? Joey Porter Jr., I don't know if it's make or break, but it's going to be a big season for Joey. I really like this overall roster. I don't think there's too many people that are like, you have to be good this year or else we're getting rid of you. There's certainly a couple of pieces on this team, but I think that a lot of players are pretty locked into their spots on this roster at this point, and I have a pretty darn high level of confidence in this group. So what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comments section. Who's a make or break player for the Steelers this year? I think the obvious one is Broderick Jones, but let me know your guys' thoughts down there in the comments section for today's pinned question. In just a second here, I'm going to tell you about our sponsor today at Fanatics. And while I'm talking about Fanatics today, go down there in the comments section and let me know who a make or break player is for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. All right, so now let's get into our Fanatics read here, where you guys can get a 50% off Steelers hoodie from our friends at Fanatics today when you go to chatsports.com/Pitt hoodie. That link is in the comments and description of our show today. And if you guys click that link, you guys could get 50% off this Steelers hoodie right here. So if you want to wear this to Latrobe, to Steelers training camp, if you want to wear this on Steelers game days this year to cheer on the black and gold, it doesn't matter. You guys can go chatsports.com/Pitt hoodie to pick this up today for 50% off. Also, part of the proceeds goes to us here at Steelers Talk. So if you really like the price tag there of a 50% off hoodie, you guys can get that today. It helps out the channel. It helps you out. Everybody wins with this deal, guys. So if you want that Pitt hoodie today, you can go chatsports.com/Pitt hoodie to pick it up today. Then we got DJ KJ, my man, coming in, says, what's the best case scenario and worst case scenario for the Steelers on offense and defense for free agency and next year's draft? I mean, goodness gracious, can we get through 2025 here first, DJ? I mean, listen, man, it's going to be an interesting situation because I can't answer this question because we don't know what the future direction of the team is going to be, right? If this team, let's say Adam Rank is correct with the 6-11 record prediction, they're going to fire Tomlin, okay, or at least they're going to try and trade him, and they're going to move on from him. Obviously, you're going to be getting a new quarterback. They're probably going to trade Cam Heyward. You know, they might even trade T.J. Watt at that point. Like, there's going to be a lot of moves made where it's going to be a full reset. But if they play well and they have a chance to potentially compete again in 2026, then I think that, you know, they'll adjust their free agency and draft strategy towards that. I think one of the things that we can probably definitely say here, DJ, is that they're probably going to be taking a quarterback in round 1 next year, especially if Rodgers ends up retiring. I think that next year is a really good quarterback class. Could be a historic amount of quarterbacks getting taken in the first round. There's going to be opportunities for the Steelers to take one of those guys. And it's going to be in Pittsburgh. So to draft a first-round quarterback in your own city, that's a pretty special moment for your fan base that I don't think the Steelers are going to pass up on. So no matter what happens this year, DJ, the one thing I can tell you is that they're probably going to draft a quarterback. Then we got Stryker coming in here, says, do you think we need the amount of tight ends that we currently have? A lot of people forget we have Connor Heyward. What are your thoughts on how he will be utilized? Should we keep him? So it's going to be a lot of heavy personnel this year, guys. Arthur Smith loves his 12 and 13 personnel packages. Aaron Rodgers traditionally has been a very good 12 and 13 personnel quarterback. He's had a lot of success with tight ends in his career. Mercedes Lewis, Robert Tonyan, Jimmy Graham, etc. in his career. So to have both Pat Freiermuth, who is your possession-type tight end, and then also have Jonnu Smith as like a manufactured touch yak threat that's extremely athletic for his size. And then you got Darnell Washington, who's like your 6th offensive lineman / blocking tight end that's got some athleticism as well. I think that they're going to live in those 12 and 13 personnel packages for this season. When it comes to Connor, he might be playing a little bit of fullback. I do think that they will. If he has a good enough camp, he's going to have to earn his spot on the team this year. But if he does that, then I think he'll be the 4th tight end on the team, and then they will use him a little bit as a fullback as well. So I do think there's a decent chance Connor Heyward makes this team. Aaron Rodgers is quite complimentary of his skill set, so I think that he probably will make the team, Stryker. So yes, 4 tight ends at least this year. So click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already, guys. We got more questions coming your way, but it really does help out the YouTube algorithm. It helps put this video in front of more Steelers fans like yourselves if you click that thumbs up icon. So I know I'm just another selfish YouTuber asking you to click that thumbs up icon, but there is a reason why we ask, guys. It's because it really does help out the channel. So if you want to spend the half second there to click that thumbs up icon, I would greatly appreciate it. All right, Kurt Crater, my man, says, should there be more consideration to get another depth piece at offensive tackle, considering injury concerns at both starters, not very experienced or vulnerable? Kirk, the team likes Calvin Anderson. They gave him a decent deal. I can't remember the exact details of the deal, but they gave him quite a bit of money to be this team's swing tackle, and they like him quite a bit. So their solution to that swing tackle, that backup tackle position, Kirk, is actually Calvin Anderson, who I think is fine. I don't think he's like fantastic or anything like that. I don't think he's like a future starter or long-term franchise option at either tackle spot, but like if Broderick Jones is just a disaster at left tackle, or if he gets hurt, the team trusts Calvin to go in there and be serviceable for the rest of the season. So that's what I would say to that. Kevin Reed says, who do you think will have more interceptions this season, Slay, Thornhill, or Ramsey? So, this metric, interceptions, it's very opportunity based, all right? Who gets the opportunities? Who gets the football thrown in their direction, and which guys have the opportunities? I mean, last year, the two guys that, really got a lot of interceptions for this defense were Dante Jackson, who was terrible in coverage, and then Beanie Bishop Jr., who didn't start the entire season, right? So interceptions, I think, is one of the more overrated stats for a DB. It's good that, you can create turnovers and all this different stuff, but a lot of it does happen to be about luck and where you are on the football field when opportunities come up. Obviously, you have to make the most of your opportunities, and that's certainly a skill. I'm not trying to say it's not, but this is kind of a volatile kind of thing. I would say the best player on that list is Ramsey, but who knows? Maybe Thornhill gets more opportunities this year and he ends up getting more. Maybe Slay does as well, but Ramsey's definitely the best player on that list. So if I had to pick one right now, I would pick Ramsey. Then we got Czar Craig says, barring injury at the position, the Steelers are cutting Cordarrelle Patterson, right? I think it's a decent cap saving if they do. Yeah, it's decent. I had Cordarrelle on my first, and I think I've had him on every single cut candidates list I've had this offseason because I like where the running back room is at, right? And I just don't think Cordarrelle is going to give a whole lot to that room. He was brought in as a special teams specialist, and honestly, he wasn't that effective last year as a kick returner. So, Mike Tomlin really values him. Arthur Smith really values him. Obviously, he's close with both guys, and, it kind of comes down to how Mike Tomlin views him, because I could totally see Mike still seeing him as like a top-end kickoff return option, even though the numbers don't bear that out last year. We'll see what ends up happening. If they keep him, it's going to be as a kick return specialist, but personally, I think that, that roster spot could go to somebody a little bit more valuable. So what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comments section. Should the Steelers cut Cordarrelle Patterson this year? Yes or no? Personally, I would probably cut him, but let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Great questions this week. Yet again, here, Steelers Nation. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Greatly appreciate all of your guys' support. We'll see you guys next time, and until then, here we go, Steelers.